Alright, you know what it is. Scary movies and coffee time. I'm your host, Watson, and we're doing a different approach on this channel. We're going to do top 5 horror movies that hold up and are still scary in 2021. This top 5 series will be a playlist when more episodes come out, so it's going to be a different series. And then I'll still have my regular episodes of scary movies and coffee. I figured to do something different and give you my personal opinions on movies I think that are still holding up. Some are real classics, and another one, it's in this century, put it that way. So let's go on. So let's start with number 5. Number 5, I picked Ju-on, The Grudge. It was made in 2004 in Japan. It was pretty crazy. I think you probably know The Grudge from the Americanized version with Sarah Michelle Gellar. This one is what it was based off of. I believe the Japanese one was more scarier than the American one, especially with how the story went. It was a little more gorier. They could have probably did less with it, but Japanese, they like to try to terrify you as much as can, so there's going to be a lot. So less is always more with that. And the spirit itself with that crazy throat noise, that is freaking creepy. I think that's what sets the movie off, and it will make it scary. It'll haunt you, that sound. Not the cat noise the little boy was making. That's like, hey, give that kid friskies. But that throat noise from the dark entity in that one scene with the old lady laying on the ground, and then you see it above her, and it was making that throat noise. That's crazy stuff right there. So that is my number 5 pick of a movie that still holds up. So if you haven't seen it, it's on Amazon Prime. Give it a watch. Number 4, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 1974 original film. That movie is still terrifying, I think. I know there's a billions of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but this one's definitely the cult film right there. There was the remake. There's prequels or sequels. They didn't live up to this one, though, I believe. This one's more terrifying. Think about it. Back then, the effects weren't so great, but the fact that it gives you that vibe of the what if vibes. Like, you think about 70s, they're on a road trip, they get stuck in a weird town, and happen to run into Leatherface's house, and the cannibals, and they get terrorized by Leatherface. So what's more scary than that? And back then, gotta think of it in that sense, in the 70s, like how was it in the 70s versus now? Like a complete psycho chasing people with a chainsaw. That's pretty scary, So that's why I'm going to put it at number 4, and I believe that movie is a cult classic, and it deserves a spot in this. It could have been an honorable mention, but we don't have no honorable mentions in this episode, so no worries there. So if you disagree with it, like I said, this is all my opinions. That's my disclaimer. It's all my opinions. If you disagree, that's cool. In the comments, I'll let you pick your 5 that you think are scary and that hold up. Next one, we're at number 3. I picked the Omen, the 1976 Omen. This one is remade in 2006, but the one with Gregory Peck, Richard Donner film, it didn't get good reception back then. It was, a lot of people were iffy and unsure about it. Like, it wasn't even popular, like that popular like it is nowadays. Like, back then, it was like a complete horrible movie. Nowadays, it's like a cult classic. It's like one of the most popular horror movies, and it's a cash cow for sure. So back then, I think people were just scared in general, because it's about Satan, son of Satan, and all this crazy stuff started happening. Like, 2 examples, like with the father, that lightning storm happened, and that piece of building came and impaled him. That I remember as a kid, that's pretty crazy, and it scared the crap out of me. And then you had like the scene where they were in the graveyard, and him and the photographer were catching on to the mystery of Damien, and those demonic Rottweilers came and started attacking him. I mean, it's pretty frightening. Think about it. So that's why I'm gonna put it at number 3. It's still terrifying to this day. I watched it recently on Stars, and it was like, wow, like this movie still does hold up, but I feel like it gives you more of a creepier, scarier vibe versus the 2006 film, which I think it was a good remake, well made, but I prefer the OG Omen over the remake. So that's number 3, and I think it still holds up. You can disagree. Number 2, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, 1980. I still think this one still has it. It's creepy enough. Every time I watch it, I get the chills. Stephen King, Shining, it's terrifying. The miniseries, it was alright. But Stanley Kubrick's, he put a different vision to it and made it creepy and give you that creepy vibe that was needed for that story in general. A man and his family get stuck at the overlooked hotel. You know, it's like, shit, like, what's gonna happen? Obviously, he went crazy. There's so much backstory to it, so much mystery, and the ending for sure will blow your mind. I'm not gonna spoil it. I hope everyone has seen it though, but if not, I would give it a watch this Halloween season, because Halloween season is on its way. So that's my number 3 pick, is The Shining. And I'm going to mention that it had a great cast too. I want to throw that out there. Jack Nicholson, A+++ for him. Even Shelley Duvall did very well. I will give her credit for that. And I would recommend to watch the documentary about it to see what that's all about. Anyway, so that's number 2, is The Shining. And number 1, it might be a gimme, or it might not be, and you may really disagree, you might agree. I believe The Exorcist. 1973, The Exorcist, the original Exorcist. It holds up and still scary in 2021. That is my number 1 pick. It spawned sequels that didn't do too well, 2 prequels that were iffy with me, and it had a TV series on Fox that I think was kind of terrible, and you can hate me for that. But the original Exorcist is where it's at. It's number 1. I believe it deserves the number 1 spot here in 2021. It's still frightening. Come on now, like, just, you've seen it, I hope. It's like, that stuff's scary. Like, I'm just saying, like, possession in general is just scary. Like, and in 1973, they had people running out of the movie theater. You know what I'm trying to say? Because no one was definitely used to it. Like The Omen, no one knew what to expect from it, and it's like, wow, that's taking it to a whole nother level. So I believe this movie deserves its number 1 spot. It's still terrifying. I get creeped out by it still. I know the effects seem a little cheesy though. You can kind of see it. Alright, maybe I could see it not holding up that part. But story-wise, that's where I'm going. And what impression it had in the movie industry too. So that's my number 1 pick. Hate me if you want for what I said. That's alright, we can talk about it in the comments. Don't forget to hit that subscribe if you want more top 5s. I have another one planned, and I have my episodes planned as well. So just stay tuned. There's more scary movies and coffee. Have a good night, folks.